Hello and welcome to another Lybra and Revenue Hub event, Hotel 2022, moving from surviving to thriving. Following the hugely successful event at the end of July, where we were joined by leading RMS providers, we thought it would be valuable as we focus shifts towards 2022 to take a look at a broader spectrum of innovative technology solutions that can help hoteliers stand out from the crowd, capture more bookings, and increase revenue. To help achieve that, we're joined by 5 panelists who are going to enlighten us. And as our event partner, could I please ask Fulvio of Lybra? Would you introduce yourself first, please? And then I'll move along and introduce each of you. So Fulvio, over to you.
So good evening to everybody. My name is Fulvio Giannetti. I'm the CEO and head of data science of Lybra Tech, which is a company focused on revenue management and is part of the wider Zucchetti group. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to continue this interesting discussion with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fulvio. Uli of Apaleo, over to you, please.
Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. I'm Uli from apaleo. We are a Munich-based company, and I'm looking forward to an interesting discussion here.
Thank you, Uli. And Eric at Oaky, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Eric, Swede, living in Amsterdam. Started an upselling company here. Yeah, super excited to be part of this discussion. Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. And Evan from Chanex, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evan from Chanex. We do channel management. So we help connect PMSs to OTAs like Booking.com and Airbnb. And happy to go through the chat today. It's going to be really interesting.
Thanks, Evan. And the final panelist is Nicola from Simple Booking. Over to you, please.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Nicola from Florence, Simple Booking. We do provide a reservation system for boutique independent hotels worldwide, and we are a member of the Zucchetti group like Lybra is. And I'm really excited to be here with such minds, technology addicted in the hospitality market. Happy to attend and to waiting for good questions.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you to all our panelists for joining us today. So just to kind of introduce the format. So how we're going to run this event is similar to the previous event that we had. It's very simple. We will ask an initial question. Each of the panelists will then have a couple of minutes to give their first response answer. And they will then move into a group discussion around that main question and the answers that are given. For anyone viewing, obviously, please feel free to comment or ask questions in the chat function as we go along. We are watching that, and we'll look to interject that into the conversation. So to guide us through the event, I'd like to welcome our moderator, who is Pablo Torres. So Pablo, without any further ado, I'll leave you to introduce yourself. And if I can now hand over to you, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, Trevor. And thank you all who are watching this talk today. So the idea of this talk is, you were mentioning before, it's going to be an open discussion. So we'll throw in some questions to everyone to answer first. And then we'll go into discussions. And then we have a second block with another question. And again, discussion, bringing in the questions from the audience as well. Absolutely. So it's not a Q&A. It's not an interview. It's purely discuss about technology and how important it is for hotels. So I was attending an event the other day, and I picked up a very good idea or a speech from one of the speakers there, talking about how we all have introduced technology into our lives, our private lives. So we all store pictures online. We all have super smart mobile phones. And so technologies and digitalization of our lives is normal to us. And we do it mainly for 2 reasons. One is because it saves us time. And the other one is because it's very convenient. So the question there is like, why, if we digitalize our lives, our personal lives, why don't we digitalize our work at the same level, which applying to hotels? And that's more or less the first question I want to ask you guys. I started with you, Uli. So the question will go along those lines in terms of, for the people who don't really know about the technology ecosystem or for hotels, what is the main purpose in your case of Apaleo? And then each of you, obviously, you talk about your tool. How does your solution fit in the ecosystem? Or how does it relate to the rest of the must-have solutions that hotels should be aiming to have?
All right, so I believe, and we believe, that actually the hotel technology has been kind of holding far too long in the environment of PMSs. And I think regardless whether they are legacy PMSs or cloud PMSs, it has always been restricted by those PMSs. They've been limited, have been providing limited APIs. They try to develop everything by their own. So what we believe at Apaleo is that actually the innovation for the entire industry is coming from the apps, from all of the apps that are here in the panel, but also any app that is out there and bringing new things to the market. So what we do is we have developed an open platform which is based upon microservices, and any app that wants to connect to that platform and use the functionality and features there can do that very easily. Any developer that wants to develop on top of it can do, and any hotel group that wants to put their tech stack together in a very easy and simple way without having big hassles or big cost upfront, they can do this as well. And the aim is really that they can select, pick, and use the apps they want to use on top of a platform. And we are not in this world to develop actually apps ourselves. What we believe is that the innovation is coming from everybody on the panel and all of the other apps that are out there worldwide. So we want to go away from this old type of closed environment of PMSs, come to an open ecosystem which is based around microservices, open APIs, and allow the industry to use technology in a different way.
All right, thanks a lot. So connecting everyone, or as many people as possible. Brilliant. Eric, you're next.
Yeah, it's funny that you start with Uli here, because I would say that Oaky is a little bit similar. We do something totally different, but we look at it in the same way. What we do is automated personalized upselling. So we want to help hotels maximize revenue and enhance the guest experience by offering super relevant deal services and experiences to the guest from the point of booking until they hopefully return again. We look at the guest journey as a soccer field of opportunities to score a goal, if you will, by offering something relevant at the right time for the right price. And by doing that, guests will buy simply because they feel that they have a need for this, because it's offered in a nice way, very similar to what you said. Saves some time, it's convenient, but it's also very relevant to their state of mind, depending on where they are in the customer journey. We've had many opportunities in the 8 years that we've been doing Oaky to do more things. Hotels have asked us, shouldn't you develop online check-in? Shouldn't you do this or that? And very similar to Uli, we have taken the path where we just said we want to be the best upsell engine in the world. And we cannot be the best in the world if we have to do all of these other things. So instead of having multiple things that we just do upselling. And when we want to integrate to a messaging platform or a revenue management system or PMS, etc., then we make sure that we put a lot of effort into partnerships. So maybe what for Uli is the applications, maybe for us is the partnerships. That's how we create an ecosystem around what we do and create a lot of value back to the guest and to the hotel.
Okay, perfect, Eric. So we have integration, we have partnerships. Ewan, what about Chanix? Where does Chanix fit?
I kind of in the middle. So traditionally PMSs build everything themselves. They want to provide an all-in-one solution, and for hotels that's really attractive because you have one person to ask for support. Like if something doesn't work, it's one person's fault, right? It's not like, oh, it's Oaky did this and we didn't do that or whatever. Like it's annoying. So for the hotel, I totally get it. One person to be in charge or to blame or whatever is great. But for Chanix, we're in the middle, right? So we sell to PMSs to help them connect to channels. So we believe that the PMS is the best person to support the hotel, but they're not the best person to build all this stuff, right? So for us, that's why we're in the middle. We're like the utility company. So we sell to the PMS, but the PMS does the support, setup, sales, everything, but not the tech. We do the tech. So I kind of see it in the middle, like I don't think a hotel can have 10 apps and the PMS and there's 10 support teams. There's a lot of work. And then there's some blame game sometimes. So I kind of in the middle. Some things will be the PMS will sell and support but didn't build. And then some things should be separate, like you get Oaky and they do their cool thing. But maybe channel management is like Chanex, but the PMS sells it. So kind of that's my thing.
Okay, so the ones in the middle helping, making other people's lives easier. Nicola, what about Simple Booking?
Well, Simple Booking, we are a company focused mostly on helping hoteliers to compete with this, at equal terms with main OTAs, so with the same weapons in order to collect, as you know, we deliver a reservation system for hotels, so fully integrated with a larger set of systems. We do believe, like Uli, that an API-based mindset is important today to fit with all legacy systems hoteliers are using. Do not create any friction with the system and the data delivery you have. Our mission is also delivering innovation to hoteliers to change their methods of work, their behavior, their habits, without any friction. Let's say just delivering the innovation, and then they start to change. They understand and they do something new. Just for example, offering them the possibility to get payments via cryptocurrency. Is it not a game just to see something on blogs about cryptos, but why not trying to use it, to offer it on your website, to differentiate your offer? As well then, for example, geolocalized rates, where hoteliers, they can set different prices on different markets. Someone is using, of course, because of revenue logic and strategies, but someone was never thinking to do something like that. So just simply delivering them something new will change as a process of business engineering their methods of works. Discovering every day, every new technology, every new feature, a new opportunity. Instead then teaching them why do something and then delivering them the technology to do. So that is, of course, we are following the current trends of one-to-one offering, so helping hoteliers also to manage the new trends of, quotations where clients have phone, as we saw during last 2 years, so to move offline into online business.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Nicola. Fulvio, what about Lybra? Where does Lybra fit in all the ecosystem?
So actually, we are an RMS, revenue management system. So for us, having access to the data is very, very important. And of course, the data coming from the PMS are so relevant for us. I agree with all of you. I mean, the pace of development is very, very high now. So you must be very focused on one thing, because otherwise you lose. You cannot be competitive on the market. In these terms, we need integrations. So be integrated, be open to third parties, be open to other business in terms of business, but also in terms of technology. It's a must now. You can go another way. So this is my opinion on this subject.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks a lot, Fulvio. So we have integrations, partnerships, tech, helping hotels versus the OTAs and data. All of you, basically, I see the commonality there. It's about helping other people and helping others make their life easier, in all this technology ecosystem. So thanks a lot.
You help yourself by helping others. That's nice.
True. That's a very, very good point. Yeah. All right. So that was the first question. Let's get into the first discussion, first block. A few questions. So I'll throw them in. I'll start with the first one. Then let's discuss. Whoever wants to speak first, go ahead. Technology is obviously there, so we all are aware of that, and is more affordable than ever. Before, in the past, it's true that many small hotels or independent hotels, they had a challenge of cost and they couldn't afford it. But now most companies are cloud-based, are SaaS, so it's much more affordable. So what do you think it is that stops still many hoteliers taking that step and moving into a technology?
So my feeling is that there are kind of three main hurdles which have been actually there forever. One main hurdle is that the integrations in an ecosystem were not good enough. And in particular with API first and open APIs, this has changed and is changing a lot. So I think when you talked about the support and the issues in interfaces before, I think with the modern world, this is going away more and more. The second thing is the cost, as you mentioned. So in the past and even today, most of the PMSs to do a PMS change or an implementation ask for huge upfront costs. And we think this is also a thing of the past. So in order to move today and implement a new system for a new hotel, or even switch a system from an older PMS, should be something where no upfront cost or professional services cost is required anymore. It should actually be happening in a kind of, I would say, self-service mode, and everybody should make this possible. And the third hurdle, which you still have today also, is the speed and time of implementation and onboarding. I think when you switch today a system or a hotel group from a legacy PMS to a more modern tech stack, then actually this should be happening rather within days or weeks than within months. And when you look at today's environment, just to get all of the interfaces installed and lots of other things take a long time and a lead time. And it's in many cases, it's actually a project where you need months of planning and implementation time before you can get a system live. And what we believe in is that if you want to go away from the old PMS world, this is something which people should be able to do by themselves, even connect the apps themselves, and then do it within a matter of days or weeks, as I said.
Okay. Integration costs and the speed and time taken for implementations.
Yeah, and if you think that a new app comes to the market and people are interested in installing or onboarding this new apps, still it's restricted by getting integrations done with the PMSs today. So we feel that the same should apply to the apps. If a new app comes to the market and says we want to connect to the PMS functionality and the platform, then this is something where they should be able to go ahead and do that by themselves and starting immediately without waiting for any development of integrations.
I'd like to, I'll take a comment on this later, but I'd like to just add one more thing, because we've been doing the full setup for many hotels during COVID, just to see, will they go live when we do everything for them? And still there are hotels that haven't gone live. And what we then realize is we sell mostly to hotel chains. And if you're not very aligned in the sales process with the person at the head office who signs the deal, a lot of things can get lost in translation when it goes down to a hotel level. So a lot of it, I think, at least for us, is partly also just the alignment in the sales process, and really being on the same page as everyone in the organization you're selling towards around what it is that is required to go live, when to do it, and really have buy-in from all the stakeholders that are relevant before that contracts get signed. That's something that we saw actually speeding up onboarding tremendously.
So there's an extra hard word in here, which is the aligning all the sales process. Okay. Why would it be that it's challenging to get everyone aligned? Is it because lack of knowledge from the ones that are not convinced or persuaded yet? What would it be?
I think having a good sales process where you have this as part of the process, at least when you sell it, for us selling into hotel chains, this is very relevant. Like, let's say we sell to someone where we have the integrations, all the technical parts is not an issue. If there's setup that you need to do, like Nicolas spoke about, creating an internet booking experience that is perfect for one hotel, we have to do the same thing for upselling. The content needs to be relevant for the guests that are traveling to the hotel, and all the deals and the messaging and so on. But I think it's more, if you're able to have this, be really, really clear with the customer, this is what we need to do in order to go live, and these are the people within your organization that we've seen from other hotel chains have been able to give the best input on this, then it's more clear between us and them what needs to be done and by whom, and then we can basically set deadlines and do it. And if we don't do this, then what happens sometimes is someone at the head office, very excited, signs the contract, and then has a very hard time on convincing or getting the people on board who maybe needs to do an implementation on a hotel level.
Well, the rest, what do you think? What are your thoughts on those challenges?
Well, Pablo, I agree with Uli and Eric. The the topics they speak about, they are relevant. But by my experience, what we saw, well, let's say hoteliers, they do not search for something they don't know, before. So the industry is not pushing, honestly, too much innovation in the technology. Early said PMS providers, as cloud or not, they are not pushing so many new ideas as well than reservation and CRS systems, to be honest, in the last 5 or even more years. So the industry is not pushing the market with the great innovation, and hoteliers at the same time, they do not search for something proactively, for something new. This is a mindset problem. And by my experience, they are going to start easily when they are ready by mindset. For example, in the reservation system market, when they start to invest in online advertising to compete with their Google visibility and so on, direct visibility, then they understand that they need a modern system to cover the last mile in the reservation process, and in the journey. And then, so costs are relevant, they are barriers, surely, but prices is important, but there is a secret price and hidden cost. Not using a good technology, that will never be calculated in the hospitality market. Normally you see what a RMS system will cost and not what you are losing as you do not change rates properly. So by my point, mostly it is a problem of mindset. And then it is a budget cost, of course, as always. But I see business model, they are evolving, reshaping because of the pandemic era, and now I see new possibilities for independent hoteliers to sign for new technologies without a great effort.
Okay, that's very, very good point you made there. You don't search for what you don't know. That's brilliant. Very good point. Ivan, Fulvio, any thoughts on this point? Resistance to technology?
Yes, I agree with Nicola about the mindset, even if it changes according to different countries in different situations. It's not always on what is particularly in the hospitality industries. They're very heterogeneous industries, so you can find different situations, and you have to be able to cope with all of them in order to do your business. I think first we need to understand also that most of the times adopting new technologies means a lot of effort from the client side, because they have to start a new process in terms of organization, but also from a technical point of view, there are many situations where it's kind of difficult to be connected because the PMS is not allowing you to be connected, to create an interface. To me, from a technical point of view, because I'm more interested in this, I try to understand why we are in these situations. Things have changed in the last 5 years. When I used to work in price matching booking suite, we were very far from another world, because we most of the time we ached many PMSs in order to get the data. But now something has evolved, so now it's easier to be connected with API or with CSV, any interface. Obviously, API is what we prefer. But sometimes for the PMS, on the PMS side, my question is why they do not improve legacy PMSs, the technology, in order to be more connected. And there are many reasons behind this. One can be also the cost associated, because when we talk about API, it's not just to create API. You have to design a system that allows the other part to be connected, having the right data also, not only the API. And most legacy PMSs usually they are just in one country. They're very localized sometimes. So probably they don't have customers that push them to do this connectivity. they do not invest to like redesign all the system, because it's costly, you know. It's very expensive from this point of view, because they have to redesign all the system from the scratch to having the right data. So I think it's a combination of mentality, but also sometimes technology that stop many hoteliers to adopt new technology.
Mm-hmm. So we have mentality, and it might be sometimes we're referring before to independent hotels, maybe small hotels. Is there a minimum size of a hotel or rental accommodation, doesn't matter which one, where they start needing that type of technology? Maybe Iwan, you can start. So it might be that the mindset is like some hoteliers or owners or managers like, well, I'm too small to need that sort of technology. Could that be a reason?
I'm not sure there's a minimum size. Even like one apartment, you still need something, right? Like, if you actually, most people with one apartment use more technology than some hotels, because they started with Airbnb, and they used to this kind of online calendar, and then they want to plug things into it, you know. So I don't think it's a minimum size, but the topic earlier, definitely mindset, because my parents own a hotel, like 45 years, so they kind of older generation. They hate change. Like, they won't change anything, seriously. Prices once a year, right? Oh, we can't change prices too much, our regulars will be annoyed. It's typical of hoteliers not to change anything unless they really have to. And technology, definitely, especially when it comes with a price tag. So change plus paying money plus work means it's really hard to make people do things unless it's like such a big pain they have to change. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, one thing we have seen in Germany and other countries is actually that hotel groups and accommodation providers are being forced now to change, because they just can't continue as they did in the past. In Germany, and I know it's the fact in UK and other countries, first of all, they can't afford to work with as much stuff as they had before. So they have less occupancies, less revenues. So they need to kind of save cost in some areas, and becoming more automated and digital obviously helps. So that is one reason. And the other thing we are seeing these days here is that actually the people that have been working in hospitality industry are just not there anymore. They've been moving out over the past years to other verticals, and they don't come back into hospitality. So one of the biggest pains actually is that hoteliers, hotel groups, and hotels cannot find the people anymore to equip their restaurants, their front desks, their reservation departments. And that forces a lot of people to look at their operations in a different way and just become more digital and use other technologies that allow them to do exactly that.
Yes.
So are you seeing that probably, so the other ones, are you seeing that some companies, some managers are being forced to get into technology because of the staffing issues at the moment? Anyone?
I don't know, but
maybe you haven't had that experience. I mean, I'm seeing from my end, for example. I mean, we do consulting and training for upsells, and it's true that the many hotels, especially for example here in the UK, they really struggle to find staff. So it is challenging for the front desk to take care properly of every check-in, and some hotels are going into mobile check-in or having a kiosk, which takes pressure away from the desk. So in a way, yeah, I agree with what Uli was saying. So I don't know if you also have a similar opinion on that.
I came from my first event in 2 years last week, which was fabulous, by the way. But I totally agree. Like, everyone was talking about this issue at this event. That was like the one thing. So it seems like it definitely, yeah. And hotel chains were talking about very creative ways how they could get people. I heard that McDonald's is paying people now $50 to just show up on an interview. You know, it's like bizarre situation. Has never happened before, probably. So yeah, something has to change, and it's good if we can be part of that and help drive that forward.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Now we're talking about technology. Hopefully, more and more people will be into it, not forced for any reason, it's because they want to get into it. Now, is there a risk maybe for late adopters to then invest in a tech stack that is not really integrated? So it could be the lack of information, you know, like someone of you were mentioning before about the legacy systems. So how can the hoteliers who didn't get yet into technology make sure that they are investing in the right technology?
Good question. $1 million question. Yeah. No, but you know,
very hard to say.
Oh, sorry, Uli. No, proceed.
So very hard to say, and actually this is one of the key points we would like to mention. I think people in this industry from the tech side have been promising to hoteliers forever what they could do and how the solutions would help and how the PMSs would help and how the apps would help. And in fact, a lot of this is just promises. So for me, it's really proving of what's possible. And we believe that actually proving it, you have to be able to try it out as a hotelier. So we think it should be possible for anybody actually to register for an account, try the solution out, test it with a number of apps and see whether or not this is a fit. And I don't see a reason actually, and you started with this before, I don't see a reason why, from a technology perspective, that should not be possible today. I mean, we are using for example, our iPhones as an operating platform. And from that operating platform, we then go and select apps and test apps and so on and so on. Now, it's not that simple in hotel industry, but still the technology today allows for exactly that, and try out the apps and try out the systems up front, and all of this without cost. So I think the old way of doing it, doing presentations and big RFPs, and the outcome is always very different. I don't think that's the way of modern technology anymore today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's all right.
We also, I'm just like taking a reference to what we do. Like, if we are investing into a new technology, or say we need to change our bookkeeping or something big for us, like a CRM change or something, then we also need to really think carefully, okay, what bookkeeping process software are we going to use? How does this integrate to all of the other systems that we're using and maybe want to use in the future? Looking at the potential growth of the business and how we will do things differently. If I was a hotelier, I would probably look at it in a similar way. And just like I am preaching that we are one niche solution that works together with others, so we also don't work with one big provider that provides us everything for Oaky. We have multiple systems that are connected with each other instead. But I would definitely be aligned with what Uli said there. Just like for us, to buy these systems, we want to play around with them, understand what they can do and how they integrate to others before we sign a long-term contract. That should be possible for hoteliers too, I think.
Mm-hmm. Nicola, I was saying before about the $1 million question.
Yeah, no, let's say, well, to be honest, when we were looking for new technology for our CRM system, to take track of the pipeline and so on, we did the wrong choice. So even if we are a technology company, so first of all, risk in choosing a wrong technology is part of the game when you search for something new to be used in your business process, daily processes, and so on. So, of course, the level of attention and analysis is more important, more investment you are going to pay. For example, PMS systems, they are affecting the whole life of the property daily. So you need to have an exact idea on which type of right addressing you need for your hotel. So while, for example, we saw the larger part of systems as our competitors as well in the reservation market, we do provide SaaS systems with annual fees. So at least you can change, but you do not go to buy for 10 years a system. So you just subscribe an annual fee. A lot of systems are unlocked. So why not going to check what the salesman offered to you? And then another topic is quality or comfort, and performance or comfort. In our sector, let's say that all-in-one are today our main competitors. PMS offering channel management modules and booking engine modules. No one is releasing a great solution as a reservation system because that is not their focus. But they are quite comfortable having a unique provider, all embedded system and so on. While, of course, if you are searching for exceptional results and conversion rate and so on, you need to consider an external provider, a vertical one. In this case, you have two providers, two back office, a different technology, sometimes logic, some, of course, based on an integration API and so on, but at least you have two providers. So are you looking for comfort? And so you are moving towards some provider, type of providers, or are you looking for performances? As you know, revenue systems, several PMS provider, the core systems in all hospitality activity, and process, they do provide some kind of intelligent module to predict rates, to suggest the price variations and so on. But no one could be same as performance than a vertical super modern tool. No. So this is something that the client, the customer, the hoteliers, they should decide before approaching their providers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a very, very good point, Nicola. I was getting some questions from the audience here. One is saying, talking about the SaaS and the subscriptions, saying, well, it's good to have a trial, but sometimes the functionalities cannot be tested on demo accounts, which can be a challenge. That's a good point from this person. And there's another one saying long-term contracts should be probably a thing of the past, and that subscription-based model, should be used. Do we agree or do we not on the fact that we should be moving into subscription, or should we still be attached to long-term contracts? What are your thoughts on that?
I think today's standard everywhere we go is subscriptions. So we believe very much in just annual contracts which renew automatically. And if the people are not happy with the platform and the functionality, they would go away anyway. And at the same time, I think when you look at what people are charging upfront as professional services in order to get systems implemented and onboarding, they are making a lot of money out of that, and that's also a big hurdle for people to change and to implement. So I think both should be considered to work in a totally different environment today. So for me, yes, subscription is definitely the only way to go.
All agree? Any other thoughts? Anyone challenging that thought?
Even for us, the best business model is SaaS, because it's based by subscription. Should be the future, even if you cannot apply this business model to any technology, because sometimes it requires a lot of work behind, and it's not possible to do this. But for most of the technology providers now on the market, the best business model is the subscription one. And but this not, even if this business model, which is the one that we apply also, because hopefully our client can stop using Lybra anytime they want. It's but also coming back to the previous question is why they should test. No, when we said that the client should test all the systems, but for them can be very time consuming. So it's not easy to do this, because if we speak about one small properties, they have no all people that are vertical doing testing all those things. So I don't see a great solution for them testing all the systems. So probably we should work more in terms of segmentation, so understanding better, giving them a clear understanding of the features, so it can be fits their needs or not. This is what I think about this.
I really agree with Fulvio on that. Like, it's so much up to the companies to be able to lead the customers. When I buy something, I also want to be led by the specialist who's selling it to me, not because the specialist per se want to have a higher commission or make more money, but because this person understands my challenges and can prescribe me a really good solution and tell me how I should implement it and all of that. That's like a great buyer's experience. And I think we as vendors have a responsibility to do that towards our hotel partners as well, and not overpromise things that we cannot deliver. And like tech sites like Hotel Tech Report, I think, have made things a bit more transparent. Like I always heard this quote: "Nobody ever got fired for buying an HP printer." And when you implement technology, you're taking a risk, like Fulvio, Nicola mentioned earlier. But if you're doing it well, you're probably going up the ranks in your organization. So it is a thing that is a bit risky, but that's the cool thing, right? Because everything that is a bit risky, you go outside of your comfort zone, there's the possibility that you will end up in a better place.
No, that's a good point.
And also what you can see is kind of with the younger generation arriving in hotel management, at groups and hotels and owning hotels and so on. I think this changes as well the way they look at technology, because they are so much used to live in a digital world that actually they wouldn't accept the old way of technology is running in hotels anymore. So we have made the experience, the younger the people in the hotel chains are that take responsibility, the more different they look at what could be done, how fast it can be done, how easy it is, and so on and so on. So I think that changes as well as the people in hotels and hotel world get younger and don't even want the experience from the old world.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Uli. There's a comment here coming saying, as you, Evan, it says, the continuous change in the tech makes hotels feel that whatever they do in their PMS, they're always behind and they need to always invest in it. So it might be daunting for some hoteliers saying, oh, is it the right time? Should I wait? Should I not? So what are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, what was the question?
It was a comment from the audience. It was passed to me now that some hoteliers are concerned that they never know if it's the right time, because they feel like whenever they're going to invest, something new comes up and they might be feeling like they're left behind.
Okay. Yeah, there's never a right time, right? There's never like I was waiting for a long time to buy a new MacBook because the Apple event was last week. So I was like, I needed a new laptop for like 6 months. I'm like, no, I'm waiting. And then last week, the new MacBook event came, and the Macs look amazing. Looks great. I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect. That's what I wanted. And the price was ridiculously high. I'm like, how is it €2,500 for a new MacBook? What the heck? And I'm like, it's just not a perfect time to buy anything, right? By the time you wait for something else that you've been hearing about is coming, it's not ready, or it's too expensive, or it doesn't do one thing right, and you're like, I should have bought it 6 months ago. You know what I mean? So there's never a right time, but you should just, because you can always change, right? Like we just talked about, everyone's doing monthly, right? So 6 months you could have had something, and if it was great, you keep using it, and if it's not great, you can switch, right? So never a right time, just get it done. Yeah, that's it.
I was going to make a reference to when we were thinking about having babies. There was never a right time.
Yeah,
you just have to go for it. But then you said that you can switch. That you can switch.
Well, they say that there is a Japanese proverb saying that there is a right time to plant a tree. The best was 20 years ago, and the second one is today. So it's always time to start your digital revolution. As you know, hospitality is selling information, basically. You know, hospitality has no logistic problem. When you buy something online, then you have to deliver the vector. A lot of problems for several markets. But for hospitality, you sell information. Someone books your room, is booking a photo and a description and some lines in a paper sheet or an email. That's all. So sometimes I cannot understand why the hospitality market is so, let's say, not so skilled in approaching new technology or considering new technologies, waiting for new generations, as Uli said, before changing, you know, because it's a technology-based market. Secondly, I think only fintech, you know, only finance has the same need of technology to support and to make more efficient all process and business and revenues to make it profitable. No, so I think that hoteliers, in our experience, are doing their job because they love it, they have a passion, and not as a real entrepreneur. I mean, as a company manager. Sometimes we saw great hotels where processes are so heavy, and a lot of check-in, check-out, in, out, and so registrations, paper sheet, and privacy, and now COVID, security, paper sheet, and so on, doing all by paper still now, when they clearly need to speed up all process, but nobody is sitting to think, to search for something new. This is something strange in our market. Is something that I love, because it's every day it's a new challenge when dealing directly with hoteliers in the European landscape, at least.
Can I add one thing? Like, all of us, we are in reasonably small businesses. Like, if you're in the hotel, if you want to buy hotel technology, unless you're buying from like very big businesses, like maybe, I don't know, Sabre, Amadeus, and Booking, and like very, very big businesses, there is a chance that if you reach out, you can speak directly to the founders of the companies, and you can actually understand what the vision is of where they want to take that technology. And that can be part of why you also buy something. So then you don't have to have fear of missing out if there's something better coming down the road, because you have an idea about where this company is headed, because you've been able to talk to the people who makes those calls. That could be another tip.
Like communication, yeah. Okay. Thank you all for this discussion. Let's move into the next block, and I'll throw a question for each of you. I can start with Eric, if you don't mind. So let's say I'm a hotelier with a limited staff, very small budget. So how can I afford to take the time to onboard, to bring in more technology? And is it really necessary for me?
That the hotel has to decide for themselves whether it's necessary or not. Yeah, this maybe comes back to what we were talking about before. Like, if there is no time to do anything, I don't know. I would heavily either go for in any case the easiest possible solution to go live. Like, when we talk to hoteliers about onboarding, upselling today, we talk a lot about how do we onboard what generates profit and can be like working as a very good first solution, but you don't necessarily have to onboard the full suite of features and products that are more complicated to understand and set up the first time you go live. So make sure it goes live, and then learn how to work with it, and we can do feature 2 and 3 and 4 a couple of weeks later, for example. Focus on those things that maybe are the least demanding on operations, or those that save the most time for operations in the beginning, and kind of create this, what we call at Oaky, the stairway to heaven. So you look at the problems you want to solve, and in which sequence you would like to solve them. And then you can take into account that you have this major bottleneck currently, that you don't have many people working in the hotel. And then I would also heavily lean on the vendor to see what they can help you with in terms of, because the vendors, anyone in hotel technology right now, have been dealing with this challenge for 2 years. All hotels across the world have had this challenge for a long time. So chances are very high that your vendor that you're working with have good ways and good experience to help you, because we've helped many other hotels with similar challenges before.
Evan, thoughts on that?
Okay. So they've got not many staff, and they need some kind of implement some tech. It doesn't have to be tech. I mean, if you think about before technology, like laundry, you could have these big tumble dryers, big washing machines, and the solution is to get an outside laundry company, right? So, and I'm just thinking about my parents' hotel. There's only 17 rooms. So laundry company, massive savings. It's actually more expensive every month, but massive savings in staff costs, right? And buying new sheets and the quality and the ironing and everything. And then you can look at services. Do you need to do all the services that you do? So I'm still off tech here, but room service, are you doing it? Do you still need to do it? Because after COVID, and there's like these delivery apps like Uber Eats, whatever, do you still need room service? Is that something you can cut? Do you need your restaurant if you're in the town center? Do you still need evening meals? There's a lot of things. If you go into tech, difficult. If you're small, buying that kiosk, is it worth it? No. You know what I mean? The kiosk solution is going to cost a fortune. If you're a big hotel, definitely worth it. Changing all your door locks so you can have like a mobile entry. If you're small, not worth it. If you're big, it is. But it's huge costs. You know what I mean? It could be just simple things. It could be cutting services or outsourcing services. That's the way I look at it.
Really like example, the analogy with the laundry and outsourcing it as a way to save money at the end of the day. Nicola, what are your thoughts on this small hotelier decided or not to go into technology?
Well, let's say I understand that costs are a great problem for several of these properties. To be honest, in our portfolio, we do have hotels with properties with 2 rooms only in Capri Island, subscribing for the top version, the more expensive one. As we do provide, for example, solutions not related to the size, but to the needs, let's say the technology needs or the capability to use that system at a different level. Well, I think that, reservation systems are now mandatory, nowadays. How can you stay without disappointing, for example, your mobile users or missing your meta search pricing, so covering your direct visibility on Google Ads, Book on Google, TripAdvisor, and so on? Or, you need to be a hero, a leading actor of your business online, as depending by the size. But for many small hoteliers, the online business mix is representing more than 90% of the global turnover. Apart of the greater properties where they do manage a lot of a mix of sales channel groups, corporate, and so on, apart of the epidemic crisis. So reservation systems are bringing to the small properties some value, and because the savings on the commission fees, because of the increasing of the possibility to sell higher quality type of rooms instead than the cheaper that you normally get by OTAs, mostly booking experience on the greater players. So having a little bit more money when you start with the new models as by subscription, monthly fees or quarterly fees, you do not have to pay up front a great value. You can start collect revenues and margins to increase, to improve your technology stack. This is what we see. It is not related exactly to the size. It's related to the possibility to start. And just for example, it's a funny story. I check always, every year, I check the best 25 properties listed in TripAdvisor, better properties, and so the listing they do. And I see that the first 25 properties or hotels, they are missing the booking engine, because they say, and I call them, and they normally say, because I don't need it, because I am so popular, I can select my clients by phone. But apart of such a lot of them are boutique hotels, so 20, 30, 40 rooms, no so large resorts and hotels. So what I see is, apart that exceptions, because their quality and their reputation is so high that they can decide who is coming to sleep into your rooms instead, and vice versa. Small hoteliers, they can now try to install new technology, to use new technology, starting from the ones that are bringing them some margin more to finance other activities.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. Fulvio, into you.
Yeah, I think we are talking about a small hotel, so it depends, because it can be like sort of early adopter or late adopter. So if I like a late adopter, I will suggest him to continue in the way they do, because it's if they choose to not get new technology on board, it means that they are happy with what they have. So there's nothing to do here. In the opposite case, if we think about something more related to early adopter, in this case, I think most come from the idea of cost, because we even this discussion we are talking about cost when we talk about people, when we talk about technology. So, but cost is only in the financial part of the story. Usually, people and technology should be like perceived as an investment from the hotel sector, from anyone. An investment because they are very related to an expected return on investment. So when I hire a person where I buy a new technology, because I expect from them that something I will earn some more in terms of revenues, and this is very important. So if we are able to explain the return on investment associated to an investment in technology, I think our job will be easier to convince them to get the technology. So for us in the revenue management landscape, return on investment, I think, is the most important part, because they invest money, they want something back in terms of return on investment. So I think we have to improve now the communication, improve the processes, make the onboarding very lean, to not have so much impact on the routine. So I think these three points are very important for these small hotels.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have the Stairway to Heaven that Eric was saying. We talk about outsourcing, adoption, and the ROI. You were saying now, Uli, what else can be added?
Yeah, my feeling is that hoteliers actually should not just change technology for the purpose of changing technology. I think they should use this moment to look at what do I do in my hotel now, and what could I actually change to improve a lot of things. And using technology to improve this, that for me would be the purpose. And when I say improve, this is on one side to become more efficient and more automated, but on the other side, it is to provide actually a better guest experience and a better guest journey. So I would look at it from a hotelier's perspective. Can I, together with technology, redesign my current digital guest journey and provide better experiences to the guests? And I would keep also in mind that actually it should be time to start that now, because the travelers, regardless who they are, but especially the younger travelers, they will look at traveling differently than we did in the past. And when I say this, still personal service is important, but at the same time, the younger people want to do everything on their mobiles. They want to do everything before they actually arrive. They want to have instant answers. So it's not more good enough to say I'm sending an email a day later when I have the time, or responding to an email. I think online chats and things like that, and the speed of response actually can improve the guest journey and the guest experience quite a lot. So I would look at my operations, the digital guest journey, and then as a smaller hotelier would say, what is the best technology actually to improve that side of my business? And at the same time, it can make things more automated and give you better returns in terms of revenues and other things.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And there was a comment before about that. It was mentioned that about the fact that what we're selling is data, and somebody was saying, well, also on experiences, which is exactly what you're talking about, Uli, now, like selling the experience, or improving the experience of the hotelier, so that they can improve the experience of the paying customer in this case. There was a question here related to what Fulvio was talking about now about the ROI, and they were saying about any thought about subscription versus performance pay. So should all technology providers or vendors just work on purely subscription? Should it be a variable based on the performance of the tool? What do you think on that? Anyone?
I can share something. We are an upsell solution that charges a flat subscription fee, and very few upsell providers do that. The most common way to do business in our space is to charge a commission. It's an interesting dilemma, because if you're charging a subscription, what our customers love about it is they know how much they're paying. They have no problems with what they're selling through Oaky, because everything will end up being basically more profit the more they sell. And if you charge commission, what we see many hotels that start to use Oaky that have previously used one of the competitors that are or other players that are charging commission, is they realize they can now sell everything that they didn't like to sell before, simply because the commission is eating out of the profit margin. And that's a very, very good, compelling reason to have a flat subscription fee. However, we have hotels, if you make no return, actually, I don't think that's a real reason, but if you make no return from the provider and it has a subscription fee, then probably there's not a good fit anyway, so you shouldn't be using that provider. But we see hotels that are where we're not adjusting upwards when they're making a lot of revenue. And there are some examples where we have hotels with more than 100 times return on investment. And then we start to think, okay, these hotels are probably absolutely willing to pay more than they're doing today. How can we adjust that and maybe have a combined version or something? Something to be figured out, I suppose. But so I think in the summary, commission is the most fair one, because you pay for what you get, but it leads to so many bad experiences. Also invoicing, you end up having conversation about 10, 15 minutes or an hour about a guest that canceled their reservation, and should you or should you not invoice an extra 5 or 10 euros. That doesn't lead to any value creation. So I am a big believer in the SaaS subscription model, but there could be something to be done with it to make it even better when you have customers that are completely outperforming the rest, to make it a little bit more fair.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Nicola, Oli, Evan, thoughts on that, subscription or some sort of commission?
Can I ask Uli a question? When you think of apaleo, Uli, do you look at it in terms of ROI towards your hotels? Can you measure that somehow?
I think for kind of the PMS platform business as we have it, it is not really an option, because it's really just an operating system which gives everybody else the opportunity to put apps, to use apps, to try them out, and so on. So it's not really an application where we would provide the ROI. It's really a big platform, scalable platform, where everybody else could connect, and then the hoteliers can use those apps. So I think for us, subscription is the way to go, and we would not look at transaction-based models or commission-based models ourselves. However, I could see certain areas where it's possible to imagine that this could be the case. I mean, when we started this very early on with ideas, when we brought the first revenue system to the market, so we had a performance-based prices, and with every and each hotel or hotel group, it led to some discussions, as you say, Eric. So I'm not a fan of transaction or commission models either, so I would always go for subscription. It's so transparent. You can put it, you can calculate it, you know what the budget is, so it makes it so easy. I'm a fan of subscriptions as well.
May I add a small piece? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Cool.
Yeah, you're back.
Yes,
So
we can.
during the crisis, this pandemic, most of the hotels started requiring a more transactional fees, because they perceive that probably less cost in the short term. No, so most cases, this most associated to consultancy companies, they started to sell at this lot, because they did not ask for any money upfront to the client, just based on the transaction. So further. But now we see that most of those kind of business models are suffering because hoteliers are understanding that probably they're paying a lot more without having a clear forecast, of the total amount they're going to pay. This is what Eric said before. So we must be very careful thinking that it's better performing basis, business model than a subscription one. Most of the time, it's not like this.
Fulvio, what do you do? Can I just ask? Because our dilemma, some hotels making so much ROI. Do you have any adjustment on the high side from an RMS perspective?
So actually, we have many requests in these terms. We have some hotels that are paying in terms of transaction performing models, but most of the hotels that we have, 99% are subscription free. So during the pandemic, we have tried to help them in different ways. I think that's all, most of us. But yes, this is the main business model that actually we are adopting.
There are some tools, like for example, Oaky, Eric was saying before, it's very easy to see. You implement it and you see direct results in terms of revenue. But for other tools, can you prove a direct positive impact on the sales of the hotel, on the overall results, thanks to the use of your tool? Is there a way to prove that?
Depends on the tool.
No, of course. Yeah.
Depends on the tool.
But what about a PMS? What about RMS? How do you?
I would think somebody like Oaky or RMS tools would be able to do that based upon this is when the tool was implemented, or this is when a hotel or a hotel group started to use the tool, and that from that moment on the revenues would go up and they would earn more money. Still, there would be the discussion, which I've seen many times in the past. So where does this upswing come from? Does it come because the markets have improved, the occupancy is going up overall, and so on and so on. We did an interesting exercise during the pandemic. So over the past, I would say 1.5 years, we did an analysis of the hotels using us compared to PMSs such as Opera or Protel or whoever, and we analyzed the occupancy and the average rates of these hotels. And the outcome was very good, but in return, this was not kind of because of apaleo itself. It was just because of the digital guest journeys and the apps connected to our platform that helped these hotels to be more efficient and digital. So I would say in certain areas with certain tools, yes, you can prove it, but overall, it's very hard, I would say.
Because of external sources. Well, by our point in Simple Booking, we do provide a fixed fees, so not commission. As we recognize, commissionable models or transaction are basically fitting the former mentality, let's say, approach by hoteliers that they do have, for example, with the OTA or distribution partner. Bring me a reservation and then I pay back you money. That is not a problem even if this percentage will be 20%, 1/5 of my business, or up to 1/4, 25%. But I am not signing for any risk when I start, and also I will pay up to performance without any forecast. But offering systems as a SaaS systems, your performance, how you can decide for a pricing for performance in case there is the risk you will pay a huge amount of money. We do have more than 80 hotels are selling 55 million euro direct bookings per year. And let's imagine I will go to ask 5%. That is not a standard percentage on direct reservation for such a business model. Which one will be the amount they will pay that is not related to the value we deliver? So, however, it is a dilemma, surely, because you, as a provider, a supplier, vendor, you can get more money in many cases, starting to become a kind of partner of the hoteliers, your client. now because of a price accuracy, inventory, quality of the property you supply. In some cases, revenue, they can change a lot, apart of technology, as Uli said, but because of external events, or situations. So we do prefer offering our clients a clear vision of what they pay for, what and for which features and performance and service, and then that it is their challenge to earn more they can as a result.
But let me make one additional comment here on this. I think where hotels and hotel groups are still losing out a lot is when it comes to comparing rates on different channels. I mean, just to give you an example, I was to a hotel in Paris last week, and I checked on the known OTAs and I checked on their website, and the website rate for the same room type was about 30 euros more expensive than on the channels. And we all know they are paying whatever, 15, 20, sometimes even 25% to the OTAs. So it was not logical at all. And there are other reasons why I think people are booking via booking.com or Expedia and not via the hotel website, because the hotels often make the life for the hotel guests much more difficult than it should be. So, for example, why should I book the same hotel on their own website if on booking.com I have cancellation policies which allow me to cancel the hotel the day before or on the same day? So I think there is still a lot of room to improve when it comes to rate parity or motivating people to go to their own website or book online to the hotels directly. And I'm checking this every time I'm traveling, and I would say in almost all cases, if not in most of the cases, there is an opportunity to improve that side, definitely.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Surely.
Time for relation there, Uli. I have another question, guys, for you. Whoever wants to answer, go ahead. How can hoteliers? There's lots of different tools in the market. So how can hoteliers know that they are getting the right solution for their needs, and they are neither over-investing or under-investing based on their inventory and type of property?
Good questions, Pablo. Nothing easier. May I answer the next one? No, it's always a challenge, of course. Well, we see sometimes hoteliers that are searching, looking for something that is, let's say, larger than their technology needs, because they focus on where they want to go in the next future, not selecting something for today. This is quite common in reservation and CRS systems, where, for example, they sign a channel manager for unlimited channels when using 5, as they don't know what the future will be. So maybe I will sign for many more. And so they decided to apply for the larger contract or version of the system. However, internet for this, the web is horrible. Let's say you never know if you're spending the right amount or the right budget for the systems you need, or you spend too much or too few, because there is the right size, and it's really difficult to recognize. However, there is a benchmark on the market depending by the country and the type of solution you're searching. Then I know hoteliers in our market, they speak about together. There is a larger mouth-to-mouth consultancy process on the market, where they suggest among them which one is the solution I found for the better price and quality level. This is a way to try to double check if you're paying the right pricing.
May I say, I think it's in the short term you can sell everything. So in the short term, it's just a marketing advertising. So you can convince anyone to buy your product. But if you want to stay on the market and for the long term, you cannot do like this. Of course, you can provide something more than just marketing. So you have to give them proof that your service works, that you are able to invest on your product. You are able to give them a good customer service. So it's not easy to answer this question, because it includes a lot of different dimensions of a business. But I think the best way is to be reliable, and that's all. And do not overpromise. So oversell. This is what I mean.
I would also, if I could give a tip to a hotelier buying technology, I would say ask what references they have from customers that are very similar to you. And if there aren't many, either they're new on the geographical market or they're not focusing on your type of properties. And it's like if you buy from someone who where you are in the sweet spot, like you are their perfect customer, they will know exactly how to sell to you and how to create a long-time customer out of you, and they will have references that you can speak with. But if there aren't many, then we believe strongly we shouldn't sell to all types of hotels and hostels and 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. We cannot be the best solution for all of them at the same time. So we turn down business when we know we're not a good partner. But we also like to give as many references as possible for the hoteliers to speak to. Our product isn't that massive, but I can imagine if you want to buy a bigger solution, it might be a good thing to try.
And the other thing I very much believe in is transparency. And what I hate most, regardless what product I buy and what technology I buy, I hate if I find out that there are tons of hidden costs later. And this is kind of one of the problems of our industry, at least the legacy world. These guys typically charge for every extra you want to have. You want to have another interface, you pay another couple of €1,000, and then you pay support, and then you pay for upgrades, professional services, tons of different things. So I think regardless of the cost itself, which has to be justified, it's also about the transparency. So I would motivate hoteliers to just go to the website, look at the open pricing there. Is it there? Does it tell you the truth? Verify it. And then if it turns out that the guys are lying to you or don't give you the right price from the beginning, I would very much doubt this is the right partner for you. So I would motivate any hotelier to do that check, and actually any tech company to publish the prices in a very transparent way and also tell everybody what it includes. And when you have to pay extra for whatever, interfaces, integrations, developments, all these things, then it might be the wrong solution for you.
And last tip for any hotelier, ask the PMS, because they know everything. They know who the best apps are, which ones have problems, which are doing a good job. If you ask the PMS, they will go, yes, this partner for you, they got lots of good advice. So if you're like on Apaleo, ask Uli, like, which app for me? They will know.
More
seriously.
emails for Uli.
No, but actually I have a very different opinion there. I think if you are a true open platform with a true marketplace, there's no such thing as preferred partners. I think the hoteliers actually should be able to get this impression by themselves, going to a marketplace, figure out which are the right apps, test them, try them, switch them, and so on and so on. I don't think if you ever get into this play where the PMSs start recommending certain apps, you will most probably end up with apps where they have arrangements with, which are their own apps, which they prefer, and tons of other things. So I'm believing much more in kind of a neutral way of making your selection today. I mean, take the iPhone again as an example. You go there, you look at the apps, what they provide, at what cost, you download the app, and if you don't like it anymore, you delete it after a month and go to the next app. And I think it should be as easy as that and as straightforward as that experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Oli. Handing over to Trevor. He's got loads of questions from the audience. So, Trevor, back to you.
We've got a few questions coming in here. So one of the questions that we have is from a Wyatt Carter. He says the golden rule is 1% of overall revenue that should be spent on tech stack. Is this old school thinking that does not take into consideration of ROI? Any comments on that?
I wonder when this golden rule is written.
Well, honestly, OTAs are investing much more in technology, as you know, and marketing. So why hoteliers should spend less in improving and keeping updated their main technology tools or new technologies they will need after the pandemic effects and the new normality, as we call the next future, to fit the new clients' needs. So 1% is, I guess, is the minimum. I agree, is the minimum, but it's really the minimum size of investment in technology for hospitality market.
Anyone else have a view?
I like the word that Mr. Wyatt used, is spend, not invest. Why did you choose this word?
right consideration.
So investment rather than a cost, you'll say.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Uli, you look as if you're. I can't hear you, Uli. Sorry.
I think that actually it's not only the percentage of money spent on technology, it's also how much money is spent on unuseful things in hotel technology. And what I want to say with this is I think that people should really look at what they want. What is my digital guest journey? What is my operations, which I need to cover? And how can I do all of that in an efficient way? And then they should decide, actually, is it worth to spend 10, 20, 30k euro upfront in order to just implement a system and then be stuck with the system forever? So I think it's really what is useful. Is there a way today where you have to kind of spend money for interfaces and integrations and things like that? Why isn't, in the open world we see in many verticals, why isn't the same thing possible in hotel industry? For me, it's less a question of how much what the percentage exactly I'm spending on technology. It's more how useful is the technology for what I want to achieve. So I would start again from setting my goals of where I want to have my hotel or hotel group, and what should be around, what should be the guest journey and the guest experience, and then take it from there, rather than to look at just the amount spent.
Yeah, I think Wyatt's come back and changed to say invest. so he's picked up on the point. There was also a follow-up to that where someone said, yeah, okay, so 1 million in revenue, 10,000 in tech. I'm not quite sure.
Mark, hey Mark. Yeah, it sounds like nothing, right? That's what I meant. When is this written? It must be pre-online.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be possible.
Yeah. Quick follow up on some of this as well. Just want to pick up on some of the points that you guys mentioned about Anuli, you using the app example and this swapping in and swapping out. And I think Evan, you also said this as well. You know, if you don't like it, if it's not working for you, you just change it. Is it that easy to change? If I'm looking at it from a hotelier point of view, that, okay, I've done a bit of research, I can see there are a whole number of solutions in certain areas, maybe not as much in upselling as there may be in sort of selecting a PMS or something else. But if I wanted to make a shift and a change, is it really as simple as this didn't work, cancel my subscription, switch across to something else?
It would be hard to generalize this because it's certainly not possible in all areas. If you go for a very complex system like one of the complete revenue management systems that provides a lot of features, functionality, they might still need some configuration and some things which you have to do before you actually can try it out or test it. In the more modern world, we see more and more apps that are going that direction because it's also easier for them. I mean, if they can prove that this works from a technical perspective and experience perspective, they also can gain new customers and new hotels and new hotel groups much more easily. So I would say you can't just generalize. And some of the older legacy big giants in our industry, they most probably will never get there. But we do see more and more apps that try to come on board with this type of ability. And I think from a technical perspective, there is no restriction why it shouldn't be possible. But I agree, it really depends on the product you're looking at and what you could do with it and so on. But for me, two open platforms are just about this. It's really create the platform and develop it in a way that it enables hoteliers to do that, to put their own tech stack together very easily, and then find the right apps which make it possible. However, having said this, I would say there's still another camp of people that would always go for the all-in-one solutions, but they have then to live with the fact that they might not be as fast and as agile and as easy to react to situations as other guys.
Anyone else got any?
Well, let's say that the changes are affecting the staff in the property, in the hotel, and the staff now is a problem because of missing or lack of professionality and specialized people working in hospitality. So this is a problem on ours, because changing, you need training again for your staff, your users. It means setting a new integration. So it is easier to say than to do, honestly. But for example, we saw some clients switching from our system to another one and coming back twice per year. So CRS systems, they are not so complex as a PMS that is involving all, let's imagine a food and beverage, let's say meeting rooms, a lot of functions and services affected by such a payments, such a technology. CRS systems are more fluid and flexible in changes, but let's imagine when you go to test and change, you might lose some data, because of analytics, of reservation into the system. So it is not so always so easy as vendors we do promise, to be honest.
Any final comments? For I've got one more question. I'm conscious of time. Any final comments on that last point? No. Okay, good. One final question then. A lot of you will sell to large groups, large chains, medium-sized, small independent properties. Are you seeing any change, or do you envisage any change post-pandemic of a divide between the increased investment or engagement with technology from the larger groups that will create a greater separation from the smaller groups or independent properties?
I don't know. From my perspective, I don't know if we see a big difference between independents and larger groups, because there will be adopters and early adopters and an early majority in any segment. So I don't really see that there's one particular segment from our perspective that is running behind big time. But we don't sell to all types of segments, like I mentioned before. But
I mean,
same
for us,
slow ones and fast ones in every segment. Is what I'm saying.
Same for us. We focus on certain market segments. And I would say the NDA of the people that want to do change, you can find them in every market segment. It's more about the mindset that a change of tech also goes hand in hand with a change in operations and other areas. So you find those front runners actually with different businesses. And I would even say some of the big chains obviously have it much harder to adapt to the change than some of the smaller groups and mid-sized groups, because they don't have so many hotels to take care of. So I would say the mindset is very important, and it has to be somewhere in the DNA of the people. But then once you have changed with some of them, actually you have a lot of what we call followers or pragmatic followers that say, this is exactly the type of hotel group or hotel I want to be, and what do I need to do to get there? But it's also really a change management you have to do within your business. No,
that makes sense. Any other final comments?
I think the gap's closing because it's not widening. You think the big chains can have more tech, bigger tech, more money. It's actually the opposite, because we're in tech business, right? We're software, and software's eating the world. There's only one price for software. It's down to basically free, right? Think about Microsoft Office. Used to pay $500 for Office, and now it's free, right? Google came out with Google Docs, and then after that, Microsoft's like, okay, we're free too. That's the way for software. Everything's going cheaper and cheaper every year. So you think about like something like a kiosk, right? Now it's going to cost you 5,000 euros to put a kiosk in a hotel. So out of reach, unless you're 50 bedroom plus, 5-10 years, I bet you everyone's going to have a kiosk because it's going to be an iPad with a little something, right? It's going to be super cheap. So I think the gap is closing and might go the other way because, like someone said, like the big chains have like a committee. You can't just make a change. A small hotel's got one owner. He's like, yeah, let's do it. But the big guys have got committees, right? They have to all agree it's a good idea, and that can take a long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's often perceived, isn't it, that the large groups have got more staff, they might have more money, they will invest in the technology, but there isn't that nimble or dynamic approach that can be taken. I think it does lean a little bit into what Nicolas said early in one of the first sessions about needing a hotelier to actually recognize and understand the problem, sort of that hidden cost, and that there is a solution out there that can be implemented, that is more affordable, that is more agile, that could solve that solution for them. But I think you're right. I think sometimes there can be this perception that when we talk about tech, we think about the big groups. Any final comment on there? I am very conscious we're overrunning a little bit, but if there's any final comment, I don't want to cut anyone off.
Surely. And we also saw that smaller groups, we don't know how larger chains or groups they are moving after the pandemic effects, because they are not our clients. Our market is independent or small groups, independent hotels. But we saw that small groups now they are moving towards their larger chain models. For example, they are trying to apply for loyalty programs that they were quite unusual before the pandemic period, because they recognized that during the immediate reopening after and rebounding after the lockdowns, affiliated clients, the ones they were recurring, they were the first to come back. So some changes is reducing a bit the gap among between the supermarket sector and the average of independent hotels.
That makes sense. Fulvio, any final comment from your side? I think that's the only one I haven't. Any comment on that point?
No, I don't have any specific comment on this point. I just want to say that nothing is free. Even if you perceive something free, it means that you are paying something which is an hidden cost most of the times. And this is so I think that hotel tech is improving a lot. I mean, many players now are adopting technology. The trend has changed. During the TTG, I used to speak with Wilco. I said that the most trendy technology now stack are first place are online check-in, second place are upselling tool, the third place are revenue management systems, from according to their point of view. So I think even small hotels will adopt technologies. Our scope should be, our goal should be to give them the best solution, provide them the best solution, the best service.
No, that makes sense. Conscious of time for the viewers, but more importantly, conscious of the time for you guys as the panelists that have given up so much time already. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up and start to bring this session to an end. But firstly, to obviously thank all of you for taking part. I'd like to just open up the floor for one final kind of passing comment. Fulvio, you've kind of set us up a little bit there. But Evan, one kind of final thought as we wrap this session up.
Like there's a lot of PMSs, so just find out what tech they have. Just have a look, because depends which PMS you have. Depends on which integrations they have already. Just ask or look on the website and look what's available. That's a good start.
Good stuff.
And go even
Nicola,
further.
Oh, go on, Uli.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I would say go even further and test it. Test it out by yourself. It should be actually a matter of minutes of starting to get an account and test some of the things and some of the apps. If it's a true open platform, that is possible today. So I would say take a look at the website, but actually try and go a step further. And if the experience is there, then I would really dig a little bit deeper into what they can do.
That makes sense. Nicola, any final comments?
Yeah, what I have to say, don't do it by yourself. Let's say enjoy the resources into your team, the experience into your team when selecting and searching and deciding in new technology to be applied. So involve your staff in each decision and evaluation, because maybe you have the internal experience to evaluate better than you. Me, I'm the director. Everything should be done by my decision only. So do not approach a vertical model when selecting and searching for something new.
No, perfect. And Eric?
I don't know if I have any new words of wisdom, so I'll just leave it with this was a real pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and for everyone listening in.
You're
welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Fulvio, any final thoughts from your side?
No, I have no final thoughts. I hope that I gave my point of view according to your questions. So that you enjoyed.
Absolutely. And finally, Pablo, thank you so much. Excellent moderation, great questions, a great discussion. Any final thoughts from your side?
No, well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. And there was a thought shared by someone before about just approach the vendors. Everybody is very approachable. Just ask them. And from the vendors, that consultative approach to selling and discussing and openly sharing whatever is information the customer is needing, and then let them make the choice. Yeah. But again, thanks a lot.
Excellent point. So as we wrap this up, can I thank all of you who have watched, chatted, contributed with your questions and your comments to the event. Has been really appreciated. There will be a recording of this session as well if anyone didn't get to see it all and wants to go back and see it. But thanks again for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you all at another event soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye, guys.